Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my very first YouTube video I've ever made, actually. So forgive me if I'm a little rusty here. Today I want to show you all how to hang a phonographic line above your railroad track, because I've not been able to find any information on how to do it online. I figured someone might want to know, so I found out the hard way, so you don't have to. Alright, so first we're going to need to do some pointers, which you probably already know if you already do model railroading. But we got to remember our hot wire and our grounding wire, because if you get them backwards, it could be a very bad fire hazard, especially in this case. Now, in a real electric line, the top one is going to be our hot wire, and then our ground wire is, of course, going to be the rails. And if you got a train that's already made to do this, because these are Lionel engines and newer ones, they have that option most of the time, it will probably work the same way. So what I got here is I hooked up, so the rails are still the ground, but now the middle rail does nothing at all, so it doesn't create any sparks. This makes it so that I can actually use another transformer and operate like my steam engine over there off of the same line at the same exact time, because this is acting out as the rail for this transformer, and then for the other transformer, which I don't have up here, they can ground at the same spot, but the hot wires can be different. So not sure if that made any sense, but it's something really cool to do. The other reason it's nice is even if I'm not going to have two trains on the same line, two transformers, then having this line not have any current at all through it makes it safer in case this decides to fall down for no apparent reason or somehow touch here. Other important notes, because this is a hot wire, if you are touching this wire while there's current going through it, try not to touch anything else metal, or you're going to get a shocking revelation, and I don't know if you'll live through it. So try to either disconnect the power or flip a switch or something. My remote has a switch, but I know that's not a blessing that a lot of people have. So if you can, try not to let power be running through while you're putting your trains on the track or anything, because yeah, that'll hurt. So let me see here. Yes, what we want to keep in mind, this took quite a few tries to get it right, but when this thing pushes up against here, the connection is not very strong, and the only way we're going to be able to really get it to actually move without overloading the remote is to have a lot of juice in your remote, or transformer, sorry. My bad. This is 120 volt. My other one's a 40, and it cannot run both of these diesels at the same time, these little Joes. So that's something else to keep in mind. It takes a lot more energy to run a phonograph line. In order to make it so that this pushes harder against here and creates less sparks, because sparks and wood don't really mix very well, even though it is cool, then I use springs so that it'll hang, and then when it hangs from the line, it'll push against here, but when this pushes up, then it won't trip, because I don't know if you could see right here, but if this little gap here is too big, then it pulls this like that, and it'll start dragging, and then it'll rip it off and also create a spark show. So they had to try to make this transition right here as smooth as possible by using the smallest possible pieces. On a real electric line, they would have like a cable that's super small, kind of like a string, which you can use a string instead of a spring here, and it should do the same thing. I did not have the time and patience to tie fishing line with my big fingers, but if you have that will probably work pretty well too, and will not cost nearly as much as these springs did. As you can see, they do sell the stuff online to, like it's already made phonograph lines, but they charge more because it's for trains, and I like being able to adjust my stuff. Like if these lines break or snap off, it's made of Lego bricks, so I just put a new brick on and call it a day. I hope I shed some light on it, as as I know, I've shown most of the dangers. These are very old engines, so I had to connect the lines inside myself. They're pretty modified, or not very. Like you have to add the wire that goes between here and the motor yourself when it's this old. And then I added a tether so that the engines would work together instead of against each other. Even that doesn't like to work. But now when it draws power from my transformer, it's the equivalent of my dual motor diesel here, except they're two separate shells, so it's not causing any real issues. That's a whole nother topic there, though. Anyway, I'm gonna give her a go and show you her running, because right now I only have the transformer hooked up to the top line, and it'll take a bit of work. So you can see, adding power, nothing's happening. If I have this on and touch both of these, I will not show you what happens, but you get the picture. Turn that off. And put those up. And as you can see, it's taking its own sweet time trying to power up. There we go. And it's also taking its time because this is a very, very heavy load. Even my Santa Fe here struggles to pull it. And then again, the engine is 80 years old, so. This is the tough part here. Having these lines here like this, because they do have to cross over. And trying to get them to stay out of the way of each other is a bit troublesome. But I guess because when you're doing these lines, when you're trying to lay all these lines out, it actually moves. As the engine moves along it, it pulls the line and there's slack is created. And it creates little hanging things like this, and if you're not careful, eventually it sets out of place and it rips the thing off the top of your engine. As you can see, she doesn't like to do curves. None of my engines do. And they slow down around them. It might just be because I have such a heavy load on them. Because all these freight cars are filled with sand. Actual sand. Alright, now let's see. Loop her around one more time and I'll show you what the tether is doing for her. In fact, she might run better with it. Let me see. I'm not going to bother turning off the transformer here. But even though that's off, as long as at least one of them is connected, they will both run. Which is sweet. In my opinion, at least. However, I like using them both so that she gets better connection. Because like I said, this does not create a very good connection. And it takes a lot of juice out of the remote. And the more juice it tries to pull, the more heat it creates. And potential fire hazards. So, and considering I got a lot of wood around here, not good. Anywho, I hope I was able to help you out a little bit with that. Like I said, I haven't seen like anyone else give anything. I'm not professional by any means, so if you know someone who has done this before and knows what they're doing, I suggest you take their advice over mine. Thank you and have a great day.